So a very, very warm welcome to everybody and a very good afternoon to our guest, Tom, who's joining us today. Very good afternoon to you, Tom.
Good afternoon. Thanks for
Hi.
having me.
So my name's Ron Maycock and I am the owner of Business Performance UK and Action Coach Castleford. I'm delighted to be joined today by Tom Maskill, who is the Sustainability and Business Development or Sales Director at Webmart. And we'll be hearing a lot more from Tom as this meeting goes on and finding out what they're all about. So before we do that, though, just really wanted to introduce the purpose of these interviews. We're surrounded by some amazing businesses in our region, and they've each got their own journeys to basically tell. They've got the successes to share with you. And also, this is a great way of us increasing awareness of what these businesses actually do. And it's all in the name of abundance. And the more people that can hear about them, the more we can share their services and their offerings, then the more the economy generally is going to perform at a higher level. So before we go in any further, again, it's probably a perfect time just to hand over to Tom and say, Tom, if you can tell us a little bit more about Webmart, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the introduction. So yeah, I'm Tom, Sales and Sustainability Director at Webmart. We are a sustainable marketing agency based in the UK. We've been going 27 years now. We've got offices in Bicester and Barnsley, which is where I'm based. And we offer marketing services to our customers, both online and offline, and we do it in a way that's sustainable, both commercially and environmentally.
And you said the natural question, I guess, when you said that you are sales and sustainability director, not normally a combination that is said in the same sentence, I guess, in most businesses. So what's that all about? What's that actually mean?
Sure. So we obviously, as a business, have a huge focus on sustainability. We're a certified B Corp. We've got, again, rather unusually, a 164-acre forest up in Scotland, which we own, and we rewild with a proportion of our profits. And because it's such a focus of the business, we have both myself and Helen, who's our finance and sustainability director, who also kind of develop our own sustainability initiatives. So we both look internally at our own emissions, our own scope 1 and 2 emissions, to see what we can do there to reduce our impact on the planet. And then my role is to really look at the services that we provide our customers with to ensure that they're sustainable and consult with them on how to ensure that their marketing activity is as sustainable as it can be.
So marketing being quite a broad spectrum, what are some of those services? What's the main offering that you're actually doing for your clients?
Sure. So we've come from the world of print. So the name Webmart actually has nothing to do with the internet because business was founded 27 years ago, pre-internet. And actually the web is for web offset print, which I don't think many people would guess. But yeah, we come from the world of print. So we've managed hundreds of millions of pounds worth of print over our 27-year history. And then over the last 15 years or so, we've expanded the range of services that we do to include point of sale. So for a lot of the big gaming brands like Microsoft, Nintendo, Ubisoft, we do all of their kind of retail point of sale in the UK. We do tens of millions of mailed items every year. So direct mail, partially addressed mail, door drop. There's some big brands like Wiltshire Farm Foods and Cook and Benenden Health. And then in more recent years, over the last 5 years, we've brought in creative services in-house, more data services to work with our customers on cleansing data and data procurement. And then also in the last couple of years, digital marketing services as well. So where we're at today is we are a channel agnostic agency. So we don't mind whether you're executing your campaigns across PPC, SEO, website, paid social, direct mail, door drop, point of sale, or more usually a combination of them. And we can look kind of holistically at the marketing mix and say, which channels do we think are going to deliver the best results against your objectives and do so in a way that's also environmentally sustainable. Like, for example, our lights that go off if you don't move. So there we go.
Just to prove that you are genuinely B Corp and everything is interlinked to saving the planet and making sure that you're not doing anything that is wasteful. So really good demonstration there and perfect timing. So excellent. So the sustainability side then, is that a personal choice differentiator as a business, or is that fundamentally now guiding you towards a client base that have the same core beliefs?
I think Webmart has always been slightly ahead of the curve on sustainability and doing the right thing by the planet. So, for example, we were one of the first in the UK to have solar panels on the roof of our offices. We've owned our forest up in Scotland for 8 years now, I think. So we've always been doing something within sustainability and operating our own business sustainably. What's become more important for us over the last couple of years is to ensure that we're not just doing best for ourselves as a business, but developing services and influencing others within our sector to do better and to improve. And so I guess the answer to your question would be both. It's part of our heritage and what we're passionate about as people, but also increasingly it's been demanded quite rightly by end consumers and our clients to be able to account for and effectively mitigate the impact of marketing communications on the environment. So we've put in place a number of services. For example, we launched Enviromail in 2021, which is the world's first climate positive postage and distribution service. So that was a service where we work out what the carbon footprint is of distributing a direct mail campaign or a door drop campaign. We double that and then Webmart pay to offset that through accredited schemes. So for our customers, it costs no more than a standard postage or distribution service, but we can account for the impact that it has and we can offset more than that. So we're going some way to reducing our impact.
It's interesting. In so many instances, I guess, within business, we're given options to do things in a more sustainable way. That historically, at the introduction of that as an option, are at a steeper price point than what has traditionally been done. Hence the barrier why people often don't change at that kind of level. Are you saying that you're now getting to the point where actually from a client perspective, there is no additional cost implication to your services and all they're getting is knowledge of additional benefit that this has been done in a sustainable way as well?
Yeah, there's a couple of points there. I think the first is until recently, so we've developed these suite of carbon calculation tools to be able to calculate the impact of these campaigns, right? Now, until this point, people have had to make those sustainable decisions without enough information to be able to make decisions, right? And you'll have heard this, I'm sure, where people have said, choose this option, it's more sustainable and it costs 500 quid more, right? That isn't enough information to be able to make an informed decision that's commercially savvy and sustainable. You need to have some quantitative analysis around that to be able to say, well, how much more sustainable is it, to be able to know if it's worth your investment. If it's saving a kilogram of carbon, it's going to cost you an extra £500. That's not a sensible decision necessarily for a business. But if it's going to save several tons and it's a few pounds more, then that's a different thing. So which is why we always start with assessing what the impact is to then be able to mitigate it effectively. And then to your point around sustainable alternatives often costing more, whilst that remains the case in several different circumstances, so particularly around like recycled paper, for example, remains more expensive than paper made from virgin fibers. In other instances, it's less so. So if we look at digital marketing, for example, much of the carbon impact of digital marketing is from data storage and transfer. If you're hosting a website and it's really, really heavy, or you've got loads of dark data that you're still storing and never use, it's more sustainable to not. It's more sustainable to have a lighter website. It's cheaper for hosting. So you're actually saving money. And not only that, but it typically will improve the performance of your website because it's quicker to load, which helps with usability and SEO. So in some instances, yes, it remains more expensive. And in those instances, it's important to have the data available to be able to make a sensible decision whether or not to invest in it. And in other instances, and again, particularly with digital, it's often the case that it's cheaper to be more sustainable. It's just having access to the information, the awareness to then be able to go down that path and save some money and the planet.
As you say, it's about the ability to make an informed decision. And some of the data that's been available has been sketchy at best. I guess in the past in certain industries. I work with a carbon consultancy, and they do sort of environmental consultancy, and they're constantly being asked to assess something as part of a wider supply chain and say, oh yeah, make us carbon neutral, or net zero, or what do we have to do? But they're actually part of something that is inherently not. And they're going, oh, but look at us. The best they can do is advertise the fact that their portion of that supply chain is carbon neutral and net zero or whatever it may be. But to turn around and say the whole supply chain is, but we've forgotten about the lithium batteries as part of a car or whatever it may be, that's where that data is lacking, because people just haven't had access to it. So it's a really interesting sort of take. So in terms of the sustainability message, and again, it's probably based more on trends that we've seen over the last few years. This has been very much the food of the larger, medium to larger sized businesses that have compliance or legal obligations to hit carbon neutrality. Smaller businesses, less so, up until certain changes and what have you. But this has been the sort of stomping ground of bigger organizations. Are you finding that in terms of your customer base, or are you pretty much now as comfortable dealing with smaller and SME and micro businesses and finding that they're coming to you as well equally?
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with your point that it definitely started out with larger businesses who had the resources to employ a sustainability manager, and as you say, were forced to do things for compliance purposes. I think for us, it's still, a lot of it depends on the brand, how far they want to go as a business, regardless of whether they're small or large. We work with some amazing businesses who are certified B Corps and 5 people, 10 people, but are generally really passionate about this, and so hence why they want to work with us. And we work with other massive businesses who maybe aren't as far along as some of those smaller ones. What's been really good to see over the last year or so, when some companies go out for tender, for example, for a piece of work, people starting to require them bidders to work out what the carbon impact of delivering that contract would be and how they would go about mitigating it. So it's really starting to embed itself in procurement and in marketing, which is great. For smaller businesses, it's one of those where if they're passionate about it, it's definitely on the radar. I think some smaller ones where it's not perhaps on the radar because they've got plenty of other pressures at the moment, particularly economically, is understanding where to start and having an awareness of the fact that they can have a positive impact. So when I'm speaking with smaller businesses on their impact, their marketing impact, we talk about things, but using local authority grant funding, which is quite often available but quite poorly advertised, to be able to have a professional come in, funded by grant funding by the local council, to be able to do an assessment of what their existing areas across the whole business are that are having the main impact to guide their focus. It might be that we can help with the marketing side, but it might be that it's a very, very small portion of their overall impact. And so working with consultants and grant funds and calculators and all that kind of stuff to upskill themselves is probably a better use of their time. So yeah, a mix.
Yeah. It's clearly a changing market at the moment. A lot of the fundamentals of what has been the case are being thrown out on a daily basis. So it is constantly evolving. So where do you see the market going, and what's happening in your world, in terms of new initiatives or things that'll be part of your business model moving forward over the next 6 months or so?
Yeah, so for us, integrating sustainability as standard is really important. Making people, raising awareness that marketing has an impact, raising awareness that the internet has a greater carbon footprint than the global aviation industry. It's not free of carbon sending an email, for example. So a big push on awareness, having sustainability as standard across what we do. So we launched Ecometrics on the 18th of May this year, which is really exciting, which is the end-to-end carbon calculation tool across online and offline. So we're now able to arm marketers with new metrics to optimize around. So marketing people will always look at things like cost per acquisition or return on investment in a certain area. We can now supplement that with carbon cost per acquisition, return on carbon emitted, and things like that. So we can not just optimize around commercial viability and sustainability, but environmental sustainability as well, which is a really exciting development from our side, which we're thrilled to bring to market, and something that we're not charging for. We don't want the research and the data and the models and things that we've spent the last couple of years to create to be a competitive advantage and us hide them away and say you've got to work with us and pay us loads of money to have access to this. We want to have an actual impact on the marketing industry, so it's not something we will be charging for. And in terms of where the market's going, I think it's got to become more sustainable at some point, and ensuring that businesses make decisions which are both commercially and environmentally sustainable is going to be crucial, and hopefully we can be a part of facilitating that.
I'm going to do a shameless name plug now. If you're already speaking to her, fantastic. If not, pick up the phone. Your message is so aligned with her message, but you need to be speaking with Mary Portas.
Okay.
You really need to be speaking with Mary Portas. Her views, although some would say are somewhat outspoken and very, very strong, the message is the same. We're in a crisis mode at the moment. The longer we just deny that that's the situation, and there has to be a different way of doing business moving forward, which involves sustainability, longevity, and actually kindness to a number of different facets, whether it be the planet or to each other or whatever. If you've not got her details, I will get you her
Please
details,
do.
and I will get you in touch with Mary Portas and have a chat with her, because she will love some of the stuff that you're doing. It really is a great differentiator. So with the danger of literally opening a can of worms on this and going into stuff about the sustainability and how the markets are changing, I mean, we could go on about this for a long time. Unfortunately, we're probably approaching towards the end of the interview as it is, but it probably remains just to put the question out there: is there anything else that we've not covered, just in a 15-20 minute or snippet or whatever it is, that you'd like to put across today, or have we started to put the world in the right direction?
Yeah, we've given it a good go. I think I think ensuring that people understand that sustainability and acting responsibly doesn't have to come at the cost of commercial viability is important. It's not either or, it's got to be both. That'd be one key takeaway. And the second, I know we kind of briefly mentioned B Corp as an area, but if people haven't come across B Corp, search for it and have a look at the standard. And what I would recommend is that if you're a business who wants to be better from an ethical, environmental, societal governance standpoint, do the B impact assessment, which is the kind of assessment that you need to do to become a B Corp. It's free to do. It'll take a couple of hours to run through, but it'll give you a really good gap analysis and ideas of how you can improve in that regard. So that'd be my two things.
And really appreciate you sharing those with people, because it is new to a lot of people. What's new often, as you say, you can get lost in the day-to-day, in running a business, in doing all the stuff. And even if you set out with the right intentions, it may have got lost. This is an ideal opportunity to just realign with your values, make sure that your business is the business that you actually set it up to become, and make sure it's moving in that right direction. So thanks again to Tom. It's been really insightful, really enjoyable, and it's a market that is massively changing how we do business. You sound, well, by the sound of it, Webmart are clearly at the forefront of that. helping things drive, making sure your lights go off at the right times again.
Keep the lights on.
Again, just to make the point. So perfect timing. But yeah, really insightful. And, if you're in business, if you're looking at making sure that you are doing enough marketing as a business coach, I'm going to say do lots of marketing. You really need to. It shouldn't be the first thing that your budget says, let's take this away. It should be the first thing that you go, let's double our efforts. Do it sustainably. It does have a carbon impact, and make sure that you work with people like Webmart who can actually guide you through that journey and give you the biggest impact with the limit, or with the smallest impact on the planet, which is, I guess, what the purpose of the business was. So thanks to everyone else. Thank you again for Tom for joining us. Really appreciate that. And thank you for everyone for watching another of our Business Spotlight interviews. If you want to do your own interview and get that recorded, just get in touch. We'll get you booked in. I don't bite, and you never know, you might even smile by the end of it. So once again, thanks again to Tom, and we'll see you all soon. Take care.